India is going mobile. Nowhere is the automotive market growing as fast as in the world's most populous country. Will the industry's future be determined here?
India is looking very attractive as a car market. If you see just the numbers, close to 4 million cars now a year, which is quite high.
India could be the new China in the 2030s. So it's not about making money in the next year. It's about making money in the next 20 to 30 years. And that's why you have to go to India now.
For automotive companies who neglect India right now, it will be a large missed opportunity in the future.
How important is India for the German automotive industry? Against the geopolitical backdrop, with us wanting and needing to diversify, India is a country that we simply can't ignore. The automotive market in India, a promising but also difficult and highly complex terrain.
So you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, you will not be successful. So be careful when you go there.
There could be a role that the German car manufacturers play in India. My advice would be to really go in the direction of electric cars and try to position themselves as a leader in the segment in India.
They will take the plunge because, the EV race in India has just started, and this could be one of the big EV markets of the world in the future.
I'm sure with the choice of the right products, German manufacturers have a great chance in the Indian market.
It's not just the population growing fast in India. The more than 1.4 billion people need solutions for daily transportation, and car production is key to this. More cars are now being built in India than Germany. After China and Japan, the country is one of the world's largest car producers. Volkswagen, for example, has been trying to become a player in the Indian market for over 2 decades and has its own production facilities. But the Germans still lag far behind market leader Maruti Suzuki and some Korean and Indian companies in sales. Only around 50,000 Skodas and 40,000 VWs are sold in India every year. But the cards are now being reshuffled in India's car industry. One reason is the, in some cases, dramatic environmental damage and air pollution in the country. This is also forcing car bosses like the head of Indian market leader Maruti Suzuki to rethink their approach.
In response to the tighter emission norms that the government has prescribed going forward, I think there seems to be a consensus that long-term electric vehicles will be mainstream.
We're very impressed by the speed of transformation in India. And that makes us optimistic that the transformation to e-mobility can also really take off in India this time.
Another reason the Indian automotive industry is setting a new course is geopolitical changes. The European Union in particular is keeping close track of how India's relationship with China is changing.
They were a little bit always neutral, looking to east and west. But now they recognize that China is really playing hard game geopolitically, also specifically regarding the South China Sea. And I was in India last year, and I felt that they are now more open to negotiate with Europe and with the United States.
It's no wonder Volkswagen is also making another attempt to find success in India. The Germans are now launching a cooperation with Indian carmaker Mahindra.
We will supply our electric drive and battery cell technology to our colleagues in India. That has benefits. Of course, we have additional scale, so we achieve more volume. The new world thrives on volume. It benefits from the economies of scale that we bring to the technology. And I think it's good not to put all your eggs in one basket.
In other words, not everything is focused on the Chinese market. German car makers sell about 40% of their vehicles to China. Companies like VW have played a role in the country's transition from bicycles to cars and made a hefty profit in the process. But India is not China, according to Homazd Sorabji, one of India's most important automotive journalists.
The luxury car market in China is huge. In India, it's around 40,000-50,000 cars a year. So our volumes are concentrated at the lower end of the market, which have very small margins, very difficult for companies to make money over there.
If you look at the German car manufacturers being particularly strong in selling large luxury type of vehicles, it is not really the market that they feel comfortable with, I think.
Small cars with lower margins have traditionally been more challenging for us European manufacturers.
And there it is again, the topic of small cars. The ones from Maruti Suzuki have dominated India's roads for over 40 years. In 1981, Japan's Suzuki founded a joint venture with India's Maruti, which became the country's largest car maker. Its vehicles have almost single-handedly made India mobile.
They invested a lot of time and money to get into this country. That was not a fast lane way.
Really, a basic reason for being market leader for such a long time is our obsession with customers. So all our processes, our systems, our products, everything is designed around the customer.
Their cars are very suitable for Indian customers. They are efficient. They are very fuel efficient. The cost of ownership is very, very low. They're very reliable, good resale value. They can be fixed anywhere in the country. So really, it's just the way the Volkswagen Beetle was in Europe, after the war.
Dieser Wagen läuft und läuft und läuft und läuft.
In India, new Volkswagen models are nowhere near as successful as the Beetle was globally. Why German cars are not so well received by Indians is best explained by Shashank Srivastava, the head of Maruti Suzuki.
Some of the products which have been introduced by the European manufacturers here really are a mismatch of the requirement of the consumers. They sort of transported the products which were there, designed for other countries, and their basic history is about success in other places. And you can't really transport all your systems, all your thinking, 100% into a new area, which could be totally different in India in that sense.
Is Germany's luxury car industry missing the mark in the Indian market? Since 2010, Volkswagen has been selling the Polo there. But the perennial VW favourite, a worldwide success, has been bleeding money in India.
The so-called world car does not really work. Yeah? So because every market, every client group has its own specific needs. Yeah.
But Volkswagen also seems to be learning from its setbacks. The company launched the India 2.0 project in 2021. 4 models designed exclusively for the Indian market. The Skoda Kushaq, Skoda Slavia, VW Taigun and VW Virtus are selling like hotcakes.
They've even tailored the car for Indian conditions, which is especially with the sedan, given focus on the rear seat. Rear seat is quite important in India. Ground clearance is very important in India. And all these factors have been taken care of.
The Indian automotive market is in a state of upheaval. E-mobility and the desire for more luxury are increasingly influencing car production. And lo and behold, more and more SUVs have recently been rolling off the production line at Maruti Suzuki.
Suzuki, with 40 years, knows the Indian customer better than any other car manufacturer.
And that's why the first electric car Maruti Suzuki is launching in the country is also an SUV.
Yes, it is a mid SUV. Yes, it looks expensive. And yes, for the size, it will be expensive. We followed the customer trend, and there's no point, if the SUV market is now 50%, you keep making the small hatches all the time, may not be good in terms of results for the market share. Just 3 or 4 years back, almost 50% was hatches, which was really small cars. And I remember about 10, 15 years back, hatches made up almost 60, 65% of the market. So it's been changing.
Even if not everyone is cracking open champagne, the standard of living in India is rising, or at least the desire for more.
People, as they earn more money, as they have more money to spend, they will move upwards the automotive chain, right? From entry-level vehicles, they will go to middle class, and also the number of luxury vehicles will grow. And I think this upwards trend, this is something which really plays into the cards of, into the hands of foreign manufacturers who have quality products, who provide good value and technological advanced vehicles.
German car manufacturers would certainly not be the losers in the transformation that Indian society is currently undergoing.
After COVID, Indians, which used to love to save earlier, now they want to spend. They've realized they only have one life and they need to enjoy it. So there's a shift in even mindset of the Indian consumer. And we live in an Instagram age. So everyone wants to, have their fame digitally as well. So they buy cars as a way to show off as well.
Another thing, fortunately, is that Made in Germany still commands special attention in India. So owning a German product is actually a very, very powerful status symbol.
The luxury car market is growing very rapidly. Mercedes, BMW, Audi have clocked record sales, the highest ever in their history.
We can only hope that we will move away from this luxury version of a German car and move more and more towards the mid-range, that mid-range vehicles will also be successful in India. That's what our manufacturers are working on. Even if sales of luxury cars are increasing, the segment still accounts for no more than 1% of the total market in India. After all, a German luxury car exported to India is 3 times more expensive there than in Germany. A complex system sets customs duties and taxes for foreign cars according to vehicle class. It also takes into account the proportion of Indian resources used in manufacturing. The European Union is currently scrambling to reach a free trade agreement with India.
So that European cars have really a fair chance on the growing market.
We've heard that there's definitely movement. Our partner association AGMA is now clearly in favour of a free trade agreement with the EU and also in favour of tariff dismantling. That's a good thing. But of course, Indian manufacturers and even Japanese manufacturers investing in India don't want to surrender their high tariffs so easily. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been skillfully steering India's economic policy for years, cosmopolitan and at the same time conservative and traditional.
On one hand, they want to protect their growing industry by, having certain trade hurdles is a strong word, but import tariffs, On the other hand, they also would like to lure investment to their shores, And every government in such a situation need to find the right balance between free and open market and a proper protection of their growing industry.
Behind market leader Maruti Suzuki, Indian companies Tata and Mahindra are making up more and more ground. Manufacturers that are fully committed to electromobility. But India is still heavily reliant on external help when it comes to battery production. That's why Prime Minister Modi has been in close contact with Tesla boss Elon Musk for years. The two are now negotiating intensively once again over optimal conditions for the American e-car manufacturer on the Indian market.
Tesla's contention is that they want to test the market, they want to be competitive, and they will eventually start manufacturing cars here. Tesla is the poster boy of the EV world. Everyone wants Tesla, and it would be a great statement for the Indian government to have Tesla bring a manufacturing setup over here. And what we understand, it will be for a low-cost model, which is below the Model 3 right now.
Another ambitious project by Chinese e-car competitor BYD has ended, however. It wanted to invest $1 billion for the production of e-cars and batteries in India, but the Indian government stopped the factory from being built.
It's no coincidence that this has happened after there was a big border skirmish or a border fight where the soldiers on both sides lost their lives. The worst we've had since in more than 50 years. So tensions between India and China have been very high because of issues at our borders. So this obviously has had an impact on, let's say, Chinese companies investing here.
An economic dispute between two giants, India, a country with a democratic constitution, and China, which is increasingly turning into an autocratic dictatorship.
India has recognized that the geopolitical situation has changed. They were a little bit always neutral, but now they recognize that China is really playing hard game geopolitically.
Is India, which is growing as a player and opening up to the global market, now the big opportunity for European car makers? The world doesn't revolve around Europe, and India is increasingly self-confident because they know they're an attractive market for many, many countries. And they're saying, well, things can't go on like this. The interests of the global south must be given much, much greater consideration. And I think we need to understand the big picture and not believe that just because they're not getting on so well with China now, that they'll run into our arms. The Volkswagen Group is clearly not waiting for the Indians to come running into its arms. Together with its Indian partner Mahindra, it's simply getting to work and producing.
Currently, it is just a supply arrangement, but there is talk of going further, of maybe doing some joint product development. And I think what we've heard, and we've broken the story actually, that there is a discussion between Skoda and Mahindra, with Skoda taking the lead for the MEB 21G, which is the low-cost EV platform for India. So there's a new, let's say, low-cost or a smaller EV platform coming, and that Volkswagen and Skoda at launching in India, they would ideally like a collaboration with Mahindra. It makes sense.
Europe has long been waiting for the first low-cost German electric car that's truly affordable for everyone. Will it go into series production at Mahindra's Indian plant?
The vehicles you potentially sell in India, right, or design in India or manufacture in India, they could be attractive for other markets too.
Of course, a market with 1 billion people, it's bound to have an impact on Europe.
Mission Control initiating command for launch.
Go! Go, sir! Go! Go, sir!
Go!
Against all odds, to achieve the impossible. For some journeys, even the sky is not the limit.
India is taking off, and German companies are hoping to be right in the thick of things.
I'm sure with the choice of the right products, German manufacturers have a great chance in the Indian market. We have great respect for Germany. It's great talent, the engineering expertise, the attention to detail, their excellence in terms of the workmanship and so on. We have a lot to learn from Germany, and we hope we'll be better with the increased collaboration with Germany.
Sounds like an invitation to German car makers to try their luck in India. A great adventure awaits Volkswagen, BMW and Mercedes, with a lot to gain, but also a lot to lose. Will the future of the car industry be determined in India? What do you think? Leave us a comment and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.